Welcome to the last chapter of Citizenship 140-104. I am Supisha Panya. You can call me Ajahn Poo. I am a lecturer at School of Politics. Okay, let's go to the last chapter together. Hi, welcome again to the second part of the last chapter. Okay, from the previous part, I talked about season 1 to formal, informal, offline political participation and the meaning of political participation. And for this part, I will start with online political participation. So I hope you are ready for this part, okay? So I think online political participation is really close to you. It's really close to your daily life because I think many of you has a smartphone already and you can see on your phone about the application you use for share your opinion or follow the news, especially political news. So which one you use the most, you can think about it. Or even I heard even in China, they have a special platform, for example, Weibo, to follow the news and to share the opinions. So I think most of you might have this experience already. Okay, so what is online political participation? So it refers to the opportunity in which people are able to have political participation via internet, because nowadays internet is accessible for everyone and you can do it easily. You can check, you can surf internet easily on your mobile phone, and the benefits of online participation are cost saving and time saving, because now you can access the data and information very quick. So for example, I would like to show you about a photo of Facebook Live during the election of the United States. So you can see the news on your mobile phone and you can react about what you think. You can press like button, you can press angry button, or you can press love button as you wish. So this is how you react to the political news. But it is just one of many examples about the US election. If you follow Thai politics, you can also see the Facebook Live about Thai politics. Sometimes I also watch about the protests in Bangkok via Facebook Live. And of course, you can comment what you think about this event on the comments box. And it's really easy and convenient. Just have one mobile phone and it doesn't take so much time. So that's why it's really time saving and so accessible. But however, one of disadvantages of the online participation is the blurring line between the private and public rights. So I would say that in the social media, you can be whatever you want to be, and you can share something to people you know already on your social media. So it's like when you go out somewhere to eat some food and you can share where you go and what you eat, and then people who follow you, they will know about it. And sometimes they will know more or less about your life. And I heard that when you can share many things about your private life on public, is very useful for the advertisement company, because sometimes they use this information to, they use this information for marketing. So I remember sometimes I check about a restaurant or a shop on Facebook. Sometimes I check just only 1 or 2 times, and later every time I check my new feed, I always saw the advertisements about a nice restaurant or about a shop I used to check. So this algorithm work like this, and yeah, sometimes you have no idea where is your private life. Okay, so this is one problem of online political participation. And of course, if you hear about Citizen 4, is I think it's like a documentary than a movie. You can check about it. And actually the government can monitor what you post and monitor about what you share on Facebook too. And this is kind of I don't know, it's like they can know about your private life. Actually, it should be confidential, right? So that is an example of disadvantage of online political participation. And there are so many examples of online political participation. So the first example I would like to tell you is change.org. As I know now, is got banned in Thailand with some reason, and I don't know why. But normally change.org, they can make a big move in this website. So what is change.org? Change.org is an online platform that allows individuals to create campaign issues and sign up to support those issues. So from this website, people can make a change in some cases. And at least you can know how many people support the campaign. And mostly I saw a campaign about environmental and social issues. So for example, a campaign about reducing plastic bag in Thailand. And according to the information in 2018, more than 248 million people worldwide have used this website, and there are 29,526 successful campaign issues took place in 196 countries. Wow, that's a lot, right? So just only one website can make changes a lot. So that's why is an example for online political participation, and it really depends which issue you support. If you support is so easy, you just sign up for this and write your name and your I think your name and your surname to support this. Okay, and another example about change.org is a campaign about George Floyd. So it's campaign for justice. So if you hear the news about George Floyd, about Black Lives Matter, so you will understand about what I will say next, and you can connect between online political participation and the movement about justice for George Floyd. So what happened at that time? George Floyd, his guy on the photo. So he was murdered by the Minneapolis police in the USA. And at that time, he was handcuffed and restrained and being completely cooperative when this all went down. And then the officer, instead, he didn't do anything to him or talk to him nicely, but in reality, the officer put his knee on George's neck, choked him for minutes while George screamed that he could not breathe. So he screamed many times, he could not breathe. So if the police respect about his life, he would have stopped, right? But he still did it until George Floyd died. So that is the source. That is the cause of Black Lives Matter, and it starts to happen in the United States. You can see what happened about George Floyd and what happened about Black Lives Matter protest. It's not only happened in the United States. I forget to tell you that it happened. The protest happened because they saw the video when someone took the video of that police choked George Floyd to die. So when people see the video, they kind of think it's not fair for George Floyd, and they demand for justice. So that's why they start to protest. It started in the United States, but later this movement went viral, and there were a lot of movement about racist issue around the world. It's also about justice around the world too. So I have a short video about Black Lives Matter protest, and you will see how it works, and you will see how it can make a change, not only in the United States, but also in other countries. Let's watch together again.
George Floyd repeatedly told the officers that he could not breathe after an officer knelt on his neck.
The family of George Floyd held a memorial in his memory.
My brother's gone, but the Floyd name still lives on.
George Floyd, you are gone but not forgotten. Because of you, we've come together.
This is for George Floyd.
It's all right to be angry, but we are going to take our anger and our indignation and turn it into energy.
George Floyd! George Floyd! Justice!
To march. To dance. To kneel. To be quiet. We're saying your name. We're saying their names. We're being loud.
Hands up! Don't shoot! Hands up! Don't shoot!
We're being brave. We're laughing. We're crying. We're getting engaged. We're getting married. We're changing the world.
We soldiers, man. Let's stop hurting each other and let's get it right, man. Today is the day we're gonna stand up for our community, man.
If we could do this, we could do more. We just gotta continue on pushing and don't give up.
He did what?
That changed the world.
Daddy changed the world.
Yeah, you will see from the video, you will see a lot of movement happen in many countries. And you can even see like George Floyd's daughter, he said like her daddy made a change. And of course, about racist issue came to fore again. And here is the result of after the protest of George Floyd. And I would call what happened after the death of George Floyd. So the first thing happened is a former Minneapolis police officer who murdered George Floyd was charged with third-degree murder because what he did didn't make sense because George Floyd actually he didn't do something wrong at that time, and the officer did too much to him, and he died because of it. So this is one thing happened after the death of George Floyd. And another thing is not only one police officer at that event. There are another 3 police officers present at George Floyd arrest. So they have also been charged with the second-degree murder because they didn't do anything. And it's like they helped the first police officer to do so. So that's why they also go to jail because of it. And then there are a lot of movement about George Floyd, about racist issue, about injustice, because people, they demand justice and they have a protest against racist issue. So there is another photo of a woman, as you can see the photo on the left side. Her name is Breonna Taylor. She is 26 years old and she is African American woman. She was fatally shot in her apartment in 2020 when the officer in Louisville's Metro Police Department forced entry into the apartment as part of an investigation into drug dealing operation. So she got shot for 8 times, as I remember, which is too much, right? And later, after they murdered her, they couldn't find drug in her apartment. So it didn't make sense as well why she was murdered like this, even they couldn't find anything. So, as I mentioned before, Black Lives Matter relates to people justice. They thought it is not fair for those who were murdered by the police. So their protests went viral and many people in many countries support it, even in Thailand. Sometimes I saw my friend on my Facebook, they change their profile picture and they make a bad like Black Lives Matter to support this movement. And this movement also connected to the issue about slavery in the colonial time. So, for example, in Bristol, England, people collect a statue of slave trader because they didn't support it anymore, and nowadays it's not the time of slavery at all. People should have equal right, should have equality. So slave is imply about inequality and injustice. So many statues in many countries were collapsed down from this movement. So you see, just only one event, just only the event that happened in United States, it can go viral easily because when you have social media, many people can access it and many people can get the same information, and you cannot do anything with the video. You cannot cut and you cannot make the video in a different way. It's true. So when people see this video and when people see the movement about Black Lives Matter, they are into it easily because deep down many people had the same logic of justice. So I think they don't like to see about people treating unfairly. So that's why online political participation can work in this case. And you can see that only the website change.org. Maybe I will go back a little bit. Okay, only website change.org, you can see that 10 million people sign up for the petition or the campaign about George Floyd, about justice for George Floyd. So that's a lot. So this website can be a channel to, to support about the political and social issue. Okay, go back to this one. So you can see like they have a protest around the world and later they can make a change as they wish. And another example about political participation, I mean online political participation, is the hashtag on Twitter or Facebook or Instagram. So it's social media, right? And you can check on your Twitter account. As I remember, it's on trending page, right? You can check what hashtag is trendy now. So like today, I checked on the trendy hashtag. I saw like "you're fired" or "bye bye Trump" because today they announced about the 46th president of the United States, which is not Donald Trump anymore. Okay, so you can check what is trendy in political, social issue, or even in entertainment thing on Twitter. And I have two examples for you. Actually, the second one I mentioned already, so I will talk more about the first one. Hashtag #MeToo. This hashtag is also powerful about feminist rights. So the hashtag #MeToo, I have a brief background about this. So hashtag #MeToo originates from Tarana Burke. She is the founder of the movement group in 2006 to help those who have experienced sexual harassment. And later, many people exposed about their experience about sexual harassment. It can happen both male and female. And then hashtag #MeToo become known around the world and has expanded its movement widely. So this hashtag principle is "you are not alone." And of course, it inspires many women around the world. As I told you, they are brave to expose about their bad experience of sexual harassment. And I remember even in the Hollywood, I heard about influential people in Hollywood did sexual harassment to female actress or to actor, and later when they exposed about it, those powerful people in Hollywood, they lost their job. They cannot have a space on Hollywood again. So this is how hashtag on Twitter can make a huge change in many circles, even in Hollywood. So this is out of the example of online political participation. And I think you know more about this, and you can check about the hashtag by yourself on the platform I told you before. Okay, but those hashtags is easy come and easy go. Sometimes it's trendy for a short time, and some hashtag is trendy for a long time. Okay, and let's see the last type of political participation. So it's a combination of offline and online type. Okay, so let's see together. So political participation in this type, I mean offline and online type, is happen in many cases, and they can be announcements on the Facebook page, and certain activities will require members to actually and physically participate. So it's like you can check on your Facebook, you can check on your Twitter, you can check on your Instagram and so on, and you can see which protest you support. And if you support this protest, maybe you can go to the protest by yourself and make a movement. So this is how online and offline type works. And then the strength of this type is the ability to mobilize large number of individuals. So because people can access internet nowadays, and they can check on Facebook event if there is a protest they support. So when they see it, they can just join them. So and offline and online political activities have become alternative for the new generation to plug in politics in a more accessible manner. So I will tell about this movement later, but briefly, this movement is about environmental issue, and it starts with one person, and later it gets influential, and many people, especially the new young generation, they support it. And when they check their social media and they saw about the protest, they just join them. And this protest is not only happen in the United States or in European countries, it's also happened in Thailand. So this movement called There's No Planet B of Friday Future. So I will talk more about the influencer who start this movement later. And the disadvantage of online and offline political participation is about information overload, because we can consume a lot of information nowadays. Sometimes it's fake news, sometimes it's real. So when it's too much, individuals may find themselves in a state of political boredom, and even choose to neglect political participation because they got too much information and they think they cannot change anything, and maybe they will think like, oh, it's happened again and nothing changed, and then they will be bored of political news, or they don't want to follow about political news anymore. So this is the disadvantage of information overload. So I would like to suggest you a little bit about this to deal with it. So you have to choose what you want to follow wisely. For example, what kind of channel you like, what kind of channel you think is, how to say, is natural. So you can think about it and you can choose it wisely. And you don't have to follow every news on your news feed. You can, now I think on Facebook you can see first, right? You can click the button, see first, and then the news channel you follow will be first on your news feed. So I think this is another way to avoid an information overload. Or maybe you have a better idea than me, okay? So this is disadvantage of both offline and online type. And I have an example about both online and offline type. So it's happened in Egypt. Okay, I think you know already about revolution 2.0 in Egypt. So what happened at that time? In 2009, there were around 80,000 Facebook users in Egypt. And in the same year, Egypt was under the Mubarak dictatorship. So he limits people's rights and freedom and has caused some young people to opt for social media to establish anti-government group online. So they didn't like the Mubarak dictatorship anymore because they cannot have proper rights and freedom to express their opinion. And then political activists use Facebook to express their feeling about it, to express why Mubarak dictatorship was not good for Egyptian people. So, and later, Facebook became a platform to express many people's feelings about it. And then Facebook also used for a meeting place to protest the government until it can finally put the Mubarak government down from power. So you can see that from the photo, Facebook is, you can see from the side, hashtag Jan75. So it's like you can see how they use online platform on offline political participation. When people see that sign, they just check on their Facebook and they can check from the hashtag, or you can check or they can check about the Facebook group about anti-government movement. And if they support about it, they will join the group. And later they can get information about where to protest and when to protest and which time. So after they got this information, they just make a move. They just went to the public space to do protests together. So this is what's happened in Egypt. And as I mentioned later, Mubarak, he was taken down of power, and the dictatorship in Egypt is no longer anymore. So you can see from the video again about Egypt revolution. So it happened in 2009, and you can see many people went to the public space and did protest together. So let's watch this video together. It's not that long, okay?
Listen to the chants roaring in downtown Cairo, the hundreds of people walking to the streets. It's unprecedented.
The people we've seen taken to the streets today are not the 50, 60 activists that we've been seen protesting in Egypt for the past 5-6 years. These were normal Egyptians.
They shot at us. Am I an enemy of the state? I came here to ask just for rights.
The protesters have lost their fear. They are determined to continue doing this. It doesn't show any signs of stopping.
We are breaking into programming here on Al Jazeera, 11:45 GMT, about 1:45 in the afternoon in Cairo, Egypt. Live continuing coverage here on Al Jazeera of a day of mass protest. They called it a day of rage. It is fast turning into that.
Unbelievable pictures you're seeing there of crowds of protesters trying to dump the vehicle that is a personnel carrier that carries troops of the police. They're trying almost to knock it over the side of the bridge into the Nile. Yes, into the Nile. You can see more tear gas being fired at the protesters, and more of them are coming our way.
Take your time.
Just 1 second, stay with us, come on. Ahmed, بدل. The president himself, he has tried to appease the public. He has sacked the government. He has appointed a new government. He's tried to announce new initiatives, appoint a vice president. All of that has only brought out more people day after day, day after day. It does not seem that they are going to be easily satisfied unless the president himself stands down.
We've lost a lot of people, and we've lost them for a cause. The cause is that we wanted Mubarak to be out. We owe it to them to stick it till the end. They are shooting. There are people, there are some of the thugs with rifles on the bridge, and they shot at our demonstrators. Like the latest of our dead protesters, he was shot right through the head. I had two friends watching this happen. We are not leaving this place till Mubarak leaves.
For the journalists who were witnessing it, what you were seeing was a brutality that completely disrupted what had been a very peaceful protest.
What you don't want as a journalist is to become part of the story. You want to report the story, but the government, the authorities, almost made us actors in this drama. They accused us of inciting the violence.
These are images President Hosni Mubarak will not want Egyptians to see.
This is a Fox News alert because Fox News has confirmed that Al Jazeera network has been shut down.
Let me just tell you about the targeting of Al Jazeera for our coverage in the last hour or so. Our officers were entered. We believe it was intelligence security. We've also heard that it could be the presidential palace security. They came in, they told us to stop filming.
I will stay on the air if I can until the police come. We're going to keep these images for you guys live until we are actually forced off the air, either by the police or if our signal is somehow interrupted.
The atmosphere in the square is absolutely electric. People have come in their tens of thousands. There is quite literally standing room only. There's a real sense here that history will be made tonight.
President Mohammed Hosni Mubarak has decided to waive the office of the President of the Republic.
Listen to that crowd. That's what they've been waiting for. Hosni Mubarak has gone.
The images that you are seeing not only important for the people of Egypt, but are undoubtedly going to have wide reverberations all across the Arab and the Islamic world.
Yeah, as you see, there were so many people in Egypt. They want to have a revolution in the country because they didn't support Mubarak dictatorship anymore. And you can see the police try to attack them, but they didn't give up. They kept trying and trying to protest, to express their feeling about it. And then they win their protest. They can take down the Mubarak dictatorship. So this is an example about both online and offline type. So before we start to the next topic, so I just want to remind you a little bit about what I taught before. So I hope you will know about online political participation, and you will know more about both online and offline political participation. And you can see an example I gave you about this. And actually, you can use this information to observe about Thai politics too, because nowadays Thai politics, I think, is like online and offline political participation, because many people, especially young people or new generation, they can know about the information of the protest online, and then they can go to the press, they post on Facebook or on Twitter or Instagram. And yeah, this is a good example of online and offline form, and it's really close to you because it's happened in Thailand now. And okay, maybe you can use this information to observe about it. And this is the last topic of this chapter. Yeah, this is a level of political participation. So there are so many levels of political participation. I will tell you what kind of political participation it is, and you can think about what kind of political participation you have experience with. So before I talk about the level of political participation, I would like to show you briefly about political participation under an undemocratic regime. Some people might have a question like, okay, can political participation happen in an undemocratic state? So I would say it can happen, and it's called mobilized participation. So it's different from the political participation I told you before, because it is not a voluntary participation. So it's like people has a duty to participate in some issue. So some people, they are not voluntary about it. So that's why we call mobilized participation. So this kind of participation is happen under the rule of dictatorship. So they make the group of people to support them. So when they want to have a protest, like I told you before, it's difficult for them because the dictator, they restrict or prohibit about it. So if you live in the undemocratic state, it's difficult to do a protest. So I have an example about Red Guard in China. So as you can see the photo, the Red Guard in China happened in the Chinese Cultural Revolution. So at that time, China just changed their political system from democracy to socialism. So Mao Zedong, he is the powerful leader at that time. He wanted to make a cultural revolution to make a change of the country to be socialist. So they make a group called the Red Guard to mobilize about socialist and communist ideology, and to monitor who can be an enemy of this ideology. So the Red Guard the Red Guard was everywhere in China at that time, and they kept monitoring each other. And if they found someone who potentially to be an enemy of Chinese government, they will report to the authority, and later the Chinese authority will punish them. And this is what happened in an undemocratic regime. So in China, if you want to protest or if you want to make a movement, it's difficult because, as I told you, they restrict or prohibit about it. But it can happen too, like in Hong Kong. If you follow the news about Umbrella Revolution, you will see that many Hong Kong people, they did protest about the Chinese government because they didn't support authoritarianism of the Chinese government. But the Chinese government can use their power to attack the protester. And you can check on Google or you can even check on the internet about it. And I think there are a lot of YouTube videos about Umbrella Revolution because Umbrella became a symbol for this movement. Because every time the police, they use tear gas to protester, they have to use umbrella to protect themselves. And then this is what happened in China. So in conclusion, I would like to say that it's also possible to have a movement in undemocratic state, but it seems difficult. And the state, they have a power to attack the protester. And this is shortly about political participation under an undemocratic regime. So for the next one, I would like to teach about level of political participation. So it's difficult to measure about level of political participation. So I use the 4 roles of political participation, and you will see each role is very important in a democratic state, and it's really important to support about human rights and freedom. So what kind of political participation people can be? The first one is the voter. So the voter, you have to think about election. So every time we have election, people who is eligible to vote, they have to go to the voting point, and it's really general in a democratic state, like in the USA or even in Thailand before, and even in Myanmar. I just saw the news that there is also another election in Myanmar too. Okay, so this is the first role of political participation. So the second one is campaigners. So campaigners is also related to election, because if you support one party, I mean one political party, you can be a campaigner. You can play a role as a campaigner to campaign, to make a campaign, or to assist the political party you like to win the election. So this is the role of campaigner. And another one is communal activists. So what is communal activists? So it means those who are involved in groups or associations in the area of their interests. So many people have different interests, right? And many people have different ideology, but some issue relate to majority in the country. So they just get together or they associate to each other or they can make a group to make a better society. And I would like to give you an example about non-governmental organization. I think you might know like Greenpeace, PETA, or Amnesty Bill. So those organizations support about like environmental issue and human rights issue. So people who agree with this, who support this, they will make a group together. They will work together. They will try their best to support it, to advocate it, and or provide information to many people to know about their movement as much as possible. So this is how communal activists work. And the last one is a contactor. So a contactor is a person who, when facing personal issues, almost always contact the officials. So it's like, for example, you live in one village and you saw the problem of the road of your village is super bumpy and so many mud and it's muddy. So maybe you can make a petition to the officials who is responsible to this issue in your area, and then you contact them, send them your petition, and later they will read your petition or they will listen your voice and they will improve it later. So this is the role of contactors. And as you remember of the goal of this subject, we hope that you will realize or you will be aware about your surrounded problem and you can be a part to make a change. So this kind of level of political participation, you can be a part of it. Okay, and the last one is actually is additional information. It's not in the book because I think actually now you might know about influencers. So what is influencer? An influencer is a person or organization that has the power to change things or people's minds or to make things happen. So normally it's just only, one person. Is kind of an individual movement. And the impact of an influencer is recognizable and significant and includes change in behavior or opinion in others. So nowadays, you will see many influencers, they want to support something and they just post on their social media. And then when you follow their social media, you will see that, oh, this thing I support too. And you can be a part of them. So I have an example about the movement of this young girl. Her name is Greta Thunberg. So I would like to introduce you briefly about her, and you can check on her video later on our video time. So who is Greta Thunberg? She is a Swedish environmental activist who has gained international recognition for protesting for governments to better respond to the threats of climate change. So she focuses on climate change issue and environmental issue. What she did is she didn't go to the school. She put a sign like this. I cannot read, I think it's Swedish language, right? Only thing I can understand is for climate something, okay? And she made a sign like this, and she just went to a public area in Sweden, and then she did it many times, almost every day. And when people saw her, they start to question, oh, why she didn't go to the school? Why she was there? And then they start to talk to her, they start to ask her, and of course, mass media also interested in her, and they want to find out why she was there, why she protested like this. And later her story went viral too. Many people know her, and she became an influencer about climate change. And whatever she said, people will believe her, people will support her, because actually, I would say environmental issue is really close to our life. So you can see about the climate change, you can see about the global warming impact in our life. So that's why many people, especially young generation, support her. And then after she becomes an influencer, she went to many, summit, like Global Summit or UN Climate Action Summit. And she she made a speech to convince people about how serious environmental issue is. So you can see her video in the video time. And I believe that most of you know this video because she say how dare you in a very strong way. And this video was taken at the UN Climate Action in 2019. So this video name Greta Thunberg to world leaders. How dare you? You have stole my dreams and my childhood, okay? This is the last video of this chapter. So let's watch together again.
My message is that we'll be watching you. This is all wrong. I shouldn't be up here. I should be back in school on the other side of the ocean. Yet you all come to us young people for hope. How dare you? You have stolen my dreams and my childhood with your empty words, and yet I'm one of the lucky ones. People are suffering, people are dying, entire ecosystems are collapsing. We are in the beginning of a mass extinction, and all you can talk about is money and fairy tales of eternal economic growth. How dare you? For more than 30 years, the science has been crystal clear. How dare you continue to look away and come here saying that you're doing enough when the politics and solutions needed are still nowhere in sight? You say you hear us and that you understand the urgency. But no matter how sad and angry I am, I do not want to believe that. Because if you really understood the situation and still kept on failing to act, then you would be evil, and that I refuse to believe. The popular idea of cutting our emissions in half in 10 years only gives us a 50% chance of staying below 1.5 degrees and the risk of setting off irreversible chain reactions beyond human control. 50% may be acceptable to you, but those numbers do not include tipping points, most feedback loops, additional warming hidden by toxic air pollution, or the aspects of equity and climate justice. They also rely on my generation sucking hundreds of billions of tons of your CO2 out of the air with technologies that barely exist. So a 50% risk is simply not acceptable to us, we who have to live with the consequences. To have a 67% chance of staying below a 1.5 degrees of global temperature rise, the best odds given by the IPCC, the world had 420 gigatons of CO2 left to emit back on January 1st, 2018. Today, that figure is already down to less than 350 gigatons. How dare you pretend that this can be solved with just business as usual and some technical solutions? With today's emissions levels, that remaining CO2 budget will be entirely gone within less than 8.5 years. There will not be any solutions or plans presented in line with these figures here today, because these numbers are too uncomfortable and you are still not mature enough to tell it like it is. You are failing us, but the young people are starting to understand your betrayal. The eyes of all future generations are upon you. And if you choose to fail us, I say we will never forgive you. will not let you get away with this. Right here, right now, is where we draw the line. The world is waking up, and change is coming whether you like it or not. Thank you.
Okay, after you watch this video, I hope you will see more about how environmental issue is so serious recently, because it's made a huge impact to people, to ecological system, and to even animal. And what she said, like many people think about money, think about economy, but they should think about environment too. So this is what she want to talk about, and you can see how she expressed her feeling. It's really strong in the video, and it can convince many people to think about environmental issue. So this is how influencer work. So normally influencer can be young people, normal people like Greta Thunberg, and sometimes I saw like celebrity. They can be an influencer too, because basically they have many people follow them, and they can express their feeling, and people will support them. Okay, so I will think about with celebrity I read this day. I'm not sure if you know Chrissy Teigen. She is the wife of John Legend. So she always posts something on Twitter to attack Donald Trump, and later she can be influential for many people who don't like Donald Trump, and they just support her and follow her. So this is how celebrity can be an influencer at the same time. Okay, so I hope you will know more about the level of political participation, and you can think about what kind of level you can be, or you can think about what kind of a role you want to play in a democratic system. And the last one is measurement of political participation. So I would say that it's really difficult, and it is so complicated to measure a level of political participation. Actually, it's unmeasurable. So you can know from 1 to 10 which number you are in political participation. So it cannot measure like this. So for the measurement of this chapter, we believe that the definition of citizen 1 and 2 become beneficial when we intend to measure the level of our political participation. So political participation is not only you protest to the authority, to the government, but I hope as you have learned from this subject, political issue is in our everyday life, okay? Because political issue is about power, is about someone who has more power, maybe did something not good for many people, and you can be a part to change it. So the reason why citizen 1 and 2 can be a measurement, because we believe that if you see something wrong in your life, in your daily life, it's not only from the authority or the officials, it can from other people. If you are citizen 1, you just ignore it. But if you are citizen 2, you will do something. You will make a change of it. So you can think about it by yourself, and you are not scared of people who have more power than you if you are citizen 2. So I would say that if we participate in many activities, both formal and informal, the level of our political participation can be higher than normal. So even it's unmeasurable, but you can think by yourself, you can know by yourself that what kind of citizen you are and what kind of political or social issue you want to participate in. So it's very easy, right? Okay. So, and we are here in the conclusion of this chapter. So I would like to remind you a little bit about what I taught before of the whole chapter. So the first one, you will know about citizen 1, citizen 2, and how it's different to each other. And you can know the meaning of political participation, and you know more about categories of political participation. So I won't repeat it anymore because it's quite a lot of categories, right? And the last one, you will know about the measurement of political participation. So the essence of this chapter is to know about what I said before, okay? And we will see like we divide political participation into many categories. But at present, the activities in which citizens are engaging are the combination of online and offline format. Okay, so for this subject, we believe that you will have an awareness about the issues around you, or even inside the university, inside the Chiang Mai University. Okay, and finally, I hope you will learn a lot on this chapter and figure out what kind of political you have already participated in. And also, I hope you to believe that you can be the one who make a better society in your country and in the world. Thank you so much for your listening. I hope this chapter will be useful for you in the future. So bye bye.